Hey folks, Bridges here. Quick video on how to take it to the next step when it's time to turn in a model. So far what we've been doing is taking a screenshot of this isometric view of our 3D model. Believe it or not, that is not the most detailed way to communicate your concepts. If you were an engineer and you wanted to send this off to a machine shop to be made from a piece of metal, we would not just send an isometric screenshot. There's a standard way of doing this, and that is through submitting a multi-view drawing, which we've talked about. All right. So to make a multi-view drawing of this, it's really simple. We've gone through drawing multi-view drawings of things by hand, and the reason we did that was so that you could realize how much effort it actually takes and how much easier this CAD software makes it when doing that. So to make a multi-view drawing of this 3D model, it's pretty simple. We're going to go up here to the File button, and we're going to go to New Drawing from Design. Now this is our design, and you can see that we're on design mode right now. So we're going to go from File, New Drawing, from Design. It does want you to save this particular model first, and I had not saved it, so I'm going to go ahead and save it right now. I've forgotten what I'm supposed to call that thing, the support bracket. So I've saved it. Now I went to File, New Drawing from Design, and it gives me this box, and it asks me, create drawing. What do you want? The full assembly? Well, we don't have any other pieces to assemble, so we'll leave that. Drawing, we're going to create a new one. It's going to be from scratch, and we're going to leave the standard as ISO, which is the International Standards Organization, and that's because we're using millimeters. Okay, millimeters is what we use internationally. If we were using a customary system or the imperial system, which is inches, then we would want to change this to ASME, which is your inch system, American standards. So, but this is international because we're using millimeters. So we'll leave it as millimeters. And it says now the sheet size, our paper size, we don't know what the heck A3 is. We don't know what that means. Let's just use a standard letter size. Oh, you know what? It's going to be hard to use a standard letter size because we're using an international standard. So let's actually do change that units to ASME. We'll leave it as millimeter units, and now we can change our paper size to be there's two A's. There's 8.5 by 11, which is a piece of copy paper like this, but then there's 11 by 8.5, which is XY. It's making your paper turn sideways like this down in my camera. So let's choose that, A11 by 8.5. And we'll click OK. So what that does is it sets up our drawing on a horizontal piece of paper. It does take a second to calculate and to make that virtual paper for us, but once it does that, okay, it gives us a blank piece of paper. Waiting. Did I choose something wrong? I should have a blank piece of paper up by now. I'll pause the video and wait another few seconds. So it did take about 30 or 45 seconds to create this blank piece of drawing paper. Not completely blank. What we see over here is something called a title block. Okay, generally the title block is on the bottom or in the lower right hand corner of the drawing paper. For now, we're going to leave this title block as it is. In the near future, we're going to edit that so it takes up less space. So for today, we're going to use it as it is, and we're going to go ahead and place our multi-views. So this particular item, okay, it's best to show this from the top, the front, and the left side, believe it or not. That's just, you know what, I guess it's not, I'm not going to say that it's best, but it's what they are showing in this isometric. So honestly, since the same view from the front and top right, I don't really care, it's whatever you want. I I would have chosen differently if I were the person who made this drawing. I would have shown this as top, front, right. So we could do that, or we could leave it as front and top left, doesn't matter. So back here, we're going to start by creating a base view. And this is when you get to decide, okay, which one it is that you're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and reorient myself, and I'm going to make this a front, top, right side drawing. So that means my base view, my front view, should be in the lower left-hand corner. Okay? So before I place that, you can see it looks pretty small for my paper. I can actually come over here and change the scale. And it auto-calculated that this drawing should be 1/4 of the actual size of it. I'm going to try making that a little bit bigger on my paper and change that 1/4 to maybe something like 1/2. Okay? And you can see it bumps up the size of my model. I think that's a good size if you're looking at 4 quadrants right here. So I'll go ahead and place my base view here, okay, and say OK. Now I've got my front view. Now it's time to add some projected views, and we've talked about orthographic projections. So right up here we're going to choose projected view, and we're going to project off of the base view. So we need to click the parent view, which is the base view. Now we need to move our mouse up to show the top, and out to the right to show the right, and then we'll even click one up in the corner to place the isometric, just like so. Isn't that neat? It shows us the top with the hidden lines for the holes. It shows us the right side with the hidden line for the hole and the floor that's hidden by the plate. And it even shows us the isometric with all the hidden lines. Except that is not the customary way to show the isometric. This should be a pictorial view or a shaded view. So I'm actually going to double click on this isometric, just a quick double click, and that brings up my drawings view and allows me to specify this particular one should be, look here. Where is that? Oh, it's up here on the top, the style. From parent, we're actually going to go over here and choose shaded. We're going to choose shaded, and that's going to give us a more realistic view of what that would look like. Now folks, the only thing that we need to do is go in and re-add the dimensions, okay? By placing the dimensions here, it does not change, we're not changing any dimensions of the model. We're just importing them, and we get to specify which ones we want to import. So up here there's a dimensions option. We can choose dimension right here, and we can just start bringing over the important ones. Okay. Remember, there's no need to duplicate dimensions or to be redundant, so we're going to choose some of the major ones first. The overall width, the overall height, the overall depth, of course. So we can do that right here. Dimension. And if I choose this line, it's trying to give me just the short segment there, and that's not what I'm looking for. So I'll choose corner to corner and place that there. I'll choose corner to corner and place that right there. And then we can do corner to corner to show the depth like that. Okay, that's good so far. Now let's start talking about some of the more specific things, such as maybe the wall thickness of these little things right there. Okay, and you could do both. I think it gets kind of confusing with these two dimensions side by side like that. So I'm going to stagger them and make it like that. Makes it a little bit more clear to see that way. I can also add dimensions to my other views. If I added this, if I wanted to do this dimension here, okay, it's starting to cloud up and obscure what our actual piece is. So I can actually dimension on some of the projected views, just like that. Okay. Now I think it's time for me to dimension the holes. Well, and actually it does not, one of the negative things about this is it does not bring in center lines. So we want to go over here to symbols. I take that back. I want to go over here to text, and I'm going to add a note, and I'm going to add a note for this hole right here. And it tells me out here to the side, our note says, I can move this around if I want to. Just remember, those don't need to be vertical or horizontal. And my note says 2 times, so there's 2 holes with a diameter of 15 and a depth of 52.11. Well, that's not the type of depth that we want. We actually want these depths to be through. So through. And we can actually type in THRU. So those are through holes. Ooh, it doesn't let us do that. Well, never fear. Because remember, when we extruded that as a cut, we did it as a distance, an arbitrary distance. Well, it brought that number over. So check this out. I'm going to save this. Support bracket drawing. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to my design in the other tab, and I'm actually going to edit that hole, the last thing I did. And instead of making it be a distance of cutting of 52.1093, I'm actually going to change that distance to just be all. And now it cuts through all of whatever's there, which is only 9. When I say OK, nothing changes. It's just less nothing that we're drilling out. When I save this, it automatically will give me a chance to update that over here in the drawing tab. So once I've made changes, it gives me a warning. It says, hey, changes have been made to this design that you are referencing. Do you want to load those changes and to accept those changes, to bring in the changes to our drawing? We're going to click this little button right up here. And yes, we're going to update it. And what we're looking to change is right here, this hole note. Look at that. It changed it by itself and made it a through hole. That's great. Okay, folks, I think that's just about it. There might be some other important dimensions, such as the height of the hole from the base and the distance from the edge of the part into the hole. Okay, we can do that. We can add some geometry to our holes. We can add a center mark to the hole. Okay, right there. And right there. We can add center lines right here. Center lines between this hidden line and this hidden line. And right there and right there. We can add those center lines. And right there. Okay, I don't like the fact that it made them solid, so I'm actually going to spread that out a bit and make it centered like that. Well, that's not good either. It should not be confusing. Okay, maybe that's good. It should not be confusing as to what we're looking at here. I might have to play with that a little bit to make it the best possible view. At any rate, we can work with just the center mark for now, and we can dimension to the center mark. So we can say the dimension from here to there is 40, and we can say the dimension from here to here is 18. And I think that gets us where we need to be, folks. Once again, there are lots and lots of rules about where these dimensions go and what they look like, and we're not going to get into all those. So for now, if you have something that looks like this, that to me looks like all of the pertinent information. Maybe one more dimension, and that is the distance from here to here. I think that's all of them, folks. If you catch one that I missed, feel free to let me know. But at this point in time, this is a perfect example of what we could turn in and what we could give to a machine shop for them to make this part. All right, hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any questions, as always, let me know. Thanks for watching.